Hey, how's it going? My name is Carlos. I put this list together of like different links and all kinds of stuff if you want to get into like fashion, if you want to get into clothes, if you want to get into style, if you want to start making stuff, if you want to start sewing, all different kinds of things. Kind of just like a one-stop shop to like, just poke around, see what you're trying to learn, see what you're getting into. There's so many fashion YouTubers and TikTokers and so many things regarding like clothes and fashion that are out there, and some of them are like, oh, top five sneakers, top this and that. I mean, that was sneakers were, a lot bigger back then, a couple years ago, but just for the sake of example. And so like it's kind of pushing something onto you. Whereas in this video, I kind of want to just go over people that I think I think deserve their flowers while they're here, and like a shout out, places that you can check out to like learn about either designers or how clothes are made. Whether you're like a student or you're getting into clothes, So this video is gonna be not cut up really too much. Because I think just having like a chill video like this would be kind of cool, just for anybody experienced or not. So I'm kind of gonna go through them like little by little. They're gonna kind of go in layers. So first I'm gonna start with like the YouTube people, because maybe if you don't know if you want to like read about fashion or clothes, like watching a video, it's kind of like low commitment. You don't have to do a bunch. So yeah, I'm just gonna go over those. So the first person I want to shout out, when I think is like a lot of people's first impression when it comes to like looking for fashion. Um, if you've like looked up anything on YouTube regarding fashion, there's a really good chance that you found Zoe Hong. She's like an absolute gem. Things regarding like fashion business, or even sewing or machines. She's like just like YouTube fashion's loving mother, always willing to like share so much amazing knowledge on YouTube for free. She has classes on Patreon that you can go check out, and I don't know how exactly her whole thing works. I haven't checked it out completely, but tons of stuff. Just whatever is on the channel alone, there's already so much. So yeah, it's just like really incredible. Runway reviews, fashion production. Just I mean, you could see here already. It's tons and tons of stuff. If you don't know about this, then this is like an absolute first stop for like anybody looking at fashion. And not even just people that want to be in like school or the business. Like if you want to just learn more about fashion as a means of like appreciating it, this is like a really good kind of you know first step, just because she'll have topics, or she'll have videos where she talks about clothes themselves, or all kinds of things. So yeah, I can't say it enough. Really, just like amazing channel. Another one, kind of a lot of people got their first impressions either coming from like streetwear, kind of street fashion, street style. I just want to give this guy his flowers too. This is Antoine, because this guy makes so many good videos about like tech wear, has made good videos about tech wear, or just kind of fashion, or streetwear, or sneakers, or shoes. So kind of stuff that's like day to day, more relatable stuff that you'd see kind of on Instagram. He'll reference, many different brands, a lot of different topics, and so kind of just like, um, again, going back to maybe people that are just getting into like, watching fashion videos or stuff about fashion. This is like also someone that you'd probably find. Um, and I guess getting deeper into like learning about clothes and construction. Antoine has plenty of videos about those too, but another guy I found, I think as of recently, is the Iron Snail. A lot of menswear stuff, a lot of menswear coverage, stuff like certain, like leather shoes, or shirts, or like jackets or coats. talking a lot about quality, construction. He mentions like details and heritage of like different brands and history. So it's kind of all peppered in into these videos. The production's really good. Sometimes he'll be like in nature, and it's written very well for for being fashion content. People might think like, oh, like is it kind of really too fancy, or is it you know but I feel like he strikes like a good middle ground between like being accessible to people who want to learn about clothes, and then kind of understanding like, oh, he has a lot of those videos where he explains like price and quality and like where the value comes from, and so like people viewing fashion as something that's really expensive to get into, they want to know, okay, well, what's the point, why. Definitely really good coverage here. Someone you're probably going to get into as you're getting more into fashion might be Fashion Roadman. He does runway reviews, has talked about the business of fashion. I think he's either worked in like marketing or with publications or somewhere within like the kind of backstage area of like fashion, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but he's familiar uh, as well with like apparel production and certain things that might dictate quality. I think that's something he's going to cover in the future as of making this video. But he'll talk about specific brands, specific collections. So definitely, like, once you've gotten like into fashion, this is probably like definitely a stop that you would you know make. Talking about just culture too as well, and yeah, tons of stuff regarding fashion as well. So usually kind of what I've been seeing a lot in terms of fashion videos is like vlog content, like, oh, these are the things I've bought this week, this month. And after a while it can get like a bit repetitive. So I feel like these channels are really good to kind of um you know get deeper into certain topics depending on whether they're important to you or not. You can completely be into like clothes and fashion without even being like married to like a brand, or like married to like the idea of like um wanting to be in like designer looks and all these things. Like you could like fashion or clothes because you like movies and you like costuming and you like all these other things. um and so it's cool because clothes are like such a human thing, just as much as like shelter is. So it's cool to see perspectives of people that either work in the fashion business or appreciate it as like a form of expression, kind of art, culture, the crossover between that, and then people that are like really invested in like the world, and like they know like, oh, this brand used to be really good, but they're kind of slowing down, and they have so much promise, and like they should be doing this and that could help them recover. It's almost like the way people see certain players in sports, their kind of backstories, their potential, um, the kind of history that develops over time, who has promise, um, who was MVP. And in the fashion world, it's like who can stay at those like at like that top three pedestal, whatever, in terms of like capital F big designer fashion, who can stay on top for a long time. And so, and but even amongst all that, there's plenty of discussion of like, oh, just like collections that we didn't realize had a lot of influence culturally, or like were kind of really important, or like went under the radar. And so tons of coverage, um not just here, but just in all kinds of like fashion content that you'll see out there. So someone who is from Japan, who works on this project called the Modelist Studio. He went to like an illustrious, one of the illustrious fashion schools on the planet, is called Bunka, if I'm correct about that. And so this channel, is amazing, really beautiful. Not very stimulating. It's relaxing. It's chill. Um, they'll have videos on, for example, this one's cloning clothes. I don't want to show too much of the video, but because I want you to go and watch it yourself. But pattern making, the understanding that that this person has developed on just like how clothes are made and constructed. Pattern making is like pretty much the drafting, the making of pieces that make up clothes. For example, like the front of a t-shirt, or like a cuff, or like a pant leg. And so tons of amazing just video, and it's sort of just like a watch and learn kind of masterclass. I imagine there's plenty of stuff that they might offer through like a paywall, but off of just what's here. In the same case of like a Zoe Hong, this is just a beautiful, amazing just content. For example, pattern drafting tools. You're learning about what does it take to really make clothes. The tools, the craftsmanship that goes into it. Everything has a purpose in terms of like, from just a grandma sewing at home, and what she needs, and what a tailor needs, or like a sample maker needs, or at like a higher level what a team of people need doing apparel production, making like hundreds if not thousands, or even more of like a certain garment, a certain piece of clothing. So this is kind of getting more into like, you're probably like a fashion student, kind of thing, but still just really cool, really amazing. And they have a website too as well, the Models Archive. So many different examples of patterns. Some of them can be bought, pockets, different styles of sleeve, different styles of like bodice, which is kind of like just like I don't want to say this wrong, but just kind of like the torso, the body part of like a garment, just to make it simple. But yeah, so many different techniques, and the photos are really beautiful. So even if you're someone who just like, they want to look at examples of clothes, even if you don't want to make this stuff, just to be able to see like the kind of stuff that exists out there, and to kind of look more and more at just so many different examples of like the beauty of fashion, in terms of like shape, and how you can take fabric and make it into just so many different things that fit the body, that it serves a function, but in a way it can be like sculpture, it can be like art. It can take space or make a statement or say something. So it's really beautiful. Yeah, so many different examples just on this website alone. The Model Studio it's like it's a masterclass to say the least. Yeah, some of these patterns are behind a paywall, but I mean, they're showing you examples of patterns, and just the photos alone, to have references like these, it's really amazing. If you're a student by chance, um, wanting to learn about fashion. Um, I mentioned kind of vlog style videos, and there's plenty of people I could refer to, but I would say one that I particularly like, because the videos are like kind of just kind of like calm, and they're like almost peaceful, but they seem like really dense, and they're made pretty well, and it's like a mix of casual, but then they'll talk about fabric, or kind of clothes, and I don't know, it's just I particularly like Ken's channel. They have a brand called Vuja Day, which has like been getting more and more traction amongst like fashiony people as the years have gone by. So yeah, shout out to Ken. It's a really cool channel, and yeah, I like the long form content where they really show a lot of the clothes. Just certain people, either depending on where they live or what's accessible to them, they really do want to care about clothes, or they want to just see what's out there in terms of like the world of fashion. And the world like beyond just photos on like a website store. This is like, it's just really cool to have an opportunity to like see some of this stuff up close, whether it's like designer stuff that he's looking at or stores that he's going to. Particularly like in Japan, they have many like vintage stores, just like there are thrift stores here in America, but I guess the big difference is like in Japan and sometimes here in America, like there's so much curation and like people that want to specify in like different types of clothes, whether that's like Americana or even just like really old vintage styles like 30s to 40s, or some people or maybe are probably even collectors and want to carry older stuff, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. um Ken, yeah, really cool channel. If you kind of want, just like a vlog kind of casual style, but with like some cool stuff kind of peppered in. And so another kind of clothing construction, um, kind of food for your brain if you're like a fashion student. Atelier Cezanne, uh, Atelier in Japan, and this is like another masterclass in terms of just sewing. Like if Modelist Studio is like cool and like you get like the feeling of like, oh, being a creator, like he's in his studio, all that pattern making the patterns. Atelier is a bit different, in that the photos are like really in depth and detailed, and they're just like so exciting for people learning how to sew, because they'll show you what they're gonna sew together. So, just like imagine it was like a straight seam, just one fabric over the other. They would kind of show you a preview of what the pattern would look like, and they show you the process of sewing it really elegantly. And some things are really simple, like, sewing like a pocket or something. And then they get really complex where they're showing you how to sew in like a pocket into like a coat. But from the outside, it's like really, clean and beautiful. And in terms of like sewing and kind of like a watch and learn, if you're like a watch and learn type of person and you don't like very much narration, this is one of those channels. If you do need narration and that would be like really helpful to you. I know there's plenty of other channels, whether it's like people at home or particularly like on TikTok. They've seen a lot of I've seen a lot of creators on there make sewing videos on like how to sew like a bag or different things. So depending on whether you need long form content or short form for sewing, there's so many different styles, I guess, for whatever works for you to learn. But yeah, in terms of just sewing and like just all their stuff comes out so clean. I love this channel. Really great, really amazing. um okay, Ass Pizza. He kind of he's like very much not center stage in terms of like the fashion world. He's not dropping videos where it's like, oh, these are the 10 sneakers, or these are the 10 whatever, these are not the things I bought today. He's not kind of in that like fashion realm of like everything that we've seen so far. And recently he's been thriving with the print shop collaboration that he's done with 730 Studios, and he's been doing world tours, and he's just been going off, posting more and more now, trolling people at Complex Con, just having fun with it, but always just showing people what he's working on, what he's making, which I feel like, and in his own way, and having jokes and having fun with it, and just having a really good time. And some of these videos are like really inspiring, just like some of the stuff he's saying and just kind of the flow of consciousness, the stuff that he's letting out. Um, Really cool. If you want something that's kind of like not like really not like any of these other channels, but still like there's clothes in there and there's like a little bit of everything. This is like a kind of all in one combo, to say the least. So yeah, you're not gonna find like sewing lessons here, but if you do pay attention, you'll see some really cool stuff that will like definitely motivate you to like, you know, just try things out and just doing it, which is really cool. So I don't know, to say the least. I think Austin over time, I see him, at least as of now, my understanding of him and where he's been since like a couple years back and what he's doing now, whatever his plan may be, I see him having like a crazy legacy in terms of like a designer, an artist kind of pushing what they want to do and like their whole swag. So it's really cool. And yeah, I mean they're gonna post more and more videos, which is cool because for a while there was like a drought and people were like, what is he doing? What is he doing? People were hating on him, saying this, that, and the third. But yeah, for what it's worth, like really cool to see him post more and more. So yeah, I just give him his flowers. Appreciate people while they're here, cause you never know. Yeah, I feel like he would kind of see it the same way, but he's always just going, going, going. Him and his whole team now, it's really fucking cool. So yeah, uh, young Ralph Lauren of our time in the works, building his own empire slowly. So yeah, yeah, I love Austin. Amazing stuff. Okay, more stuff, more stuff. So you're watching YouTube videos. You're seeing stuff on Instagram. Um, different Instagram brands, streetwear stuff, clothes. Like you're seeing all these things on like Pinterest or Instagram, wherever you look at clothes. All that stuff is really cool, right? But I kind of want to show you just some other places online that you can look at in terms of just clothes inspiration. Maybe you want to start drawing, maybe you want to start sketching, kind of seeing what ideas come out, and not just like, hey, take this and copy it, but just to see what's possible in terms of clothes. Like I think Austin had said in a video, Austin Baba had said in a video that I think he was young and he just thought robots made clothes. And it's funny because you don't realize like the level of craftsmanship that can go into it, or now like the level of like industry that can go into it. And like sometimes things are just like made in sort of like conveyor belt type of system, and just like with not a lot of love and like touch put into it. So it's really cool to just see examples of like really old clothing with techniques that are really old, or just construction that's like has become kind of classic or timeless, whether it was like made for the military, or kind of adjacent to that. And just this is really just like a collection of different stores that online that you can look at. Some of them particularly have really amazing quality photos to them, and they just, yeah, it's just it's a treasure trove, honestly, um, of just beautiful garments, beautiful clothes to look at. And, it's not your everyday, it's not like a bomber jacket. It's not like, like a t-shirt. There's plenty of other links here that, are kind of newer clothes. But I just wanted to feature some of these Japanese vintage stores that have really beautiful images of really old clothes that if people didn't preserve them, at least in this way, you know, they might not get appreciated, or we might not be able to learn from them in terms of like, oh, that's how they used to, make pants, and that's why they lasted so long. That's why they're still keeping up. It's not something that people just wore like a couple times and threw away because they literally started like breaking apart. Like these are clothes that were made to last and that were, made to be passed down, and people were meant to like literally live and die in these clothes, depending on the use case for some of them. But yeah, just for the sake of example, I just wanted to keep showing you more. Um, but yeah, tons of examples. I know it's a lot of men's stuff. That's not completely everything that there is. There are more links in here to, like women's wear, other things. Some of them might be like, to your taste, some of them might not, but there's a little bit of everything. So if not to buy it because I'm trying to push like you to buy like some expensive thing, just for you to see like, hey, like that's kind of cool. Maybe if I want to try to sew that and make it at home, like I can make it for on a budget. I could try to do that once I learn those skills. And even if you don't, just to see that it's there. So that when you go out to like a thrift, you kind of, develop an eye of things to look for. Assuming everything's gonna fit well and you love it and it's for you, then it's cool to like develop your eye and just like see things and notice like, oh, I like how they did the collar here, and you're gonna be looking for different things, more and more, whether that's like the tags and the fabric it was made out of, or the shape of something, or the texture, things that like come out to you, whether it's because you saw it in a video or in real life in person, or as a photo on like these really pretty websites that people have worked so hard on, depending on whether they take like really nice photos or they're kind of newer brands and they're kind of more like the white background style. um I don't know what I mean by that, but just I know the photos feel different when people really put love into them, to say the least. But yeah, I don't want to cover it too much because I want you to just like go into it and look for yourself. So yeah, to say the least, plenty of different clothes to look at here. And then there's like a whole page too separately with like specific designers, um, that I especially just want to feature. Some of them are really special to me. Some of them, I can't afford it, but I love looking at the clothes, and I really appreciate them. So, um, yeah, plenty of people I could shout out. That could be like a whole video in and of itself. Um, but yeah, a lot of clothes, a lot of things to look at. Window shopping can be cool, but um, I would say just using it as inspiration for things to look at, that are near you, like whatever is close by, not because you have to ball out on a budget, like I'm saying again, but just to know what's out there, how good it could be, and so it'll make you like a better shopper, I hope, um, and someone who appreciates clothes more and knows that like, hey, like these things should be made well. It shouldn't just be like, hunk of junk stuff. So yeah, to say the least, you know. Um, so fashion multimedia, this is another page on here. Kind of like a mix of like either people that write about fashion, kind of places to look at, and like read fashion books or magazines, or like kind of discourse regarding fashion. I know there's like the Kanye to the page here with like plenty of people talking about fashion. I'm assuming it's like a lot of like streetwear and stuff like that, because that used to be like an old page, but still plenty of people on there, probably talking about sneakers, rap, or music, or other things, fashion discourse on there. um Another website that's really amazing that I want to shout out is Ita Toys, a beautiful NeoCities website. NeoCities is like a project that was like an homage to GeoCities. It's like pretty much imagine like these old school websites, um, that are kind of like, you know early 2000s or kind of 90s era type of design. Um, Not like a fancy new website now. So yeah, just really cute, really amazing. She has a page where like, she has like, uh, you know, wardrobe and just like clothes of hers. But it's getting developed, I guess. But yeah, especially the scans section, really amazing. Um, these are like Japanese fashion magazines, and she's gone through the care of scanning some of these volumes and like showing like the wealth of like Japanese fashion magazine media that just exists out there. a lot of cool styles, old school stuff. Um, was really popping in the 90s, but is still commonplace now that we're kind of living in a time where like so many different fashion styles are like prospering within like their respective crowds, or just people that think like, hey, that looks cool, that's in like that color of pink or like mint or whatever, like that looks sick, I want that type of swag. So yeah, tons of stuff. Free. Like, she's a gem for putting this up. Love the website. It's so cute. It's really amazing. I mean, you could be on this website in particular all day. Um, because there's just so much to look at. But you know, uh, I guess the other side of the coin. We just came out of like Gyaru, super cute. A lot of female or ladies fashion fits. Um, and I guess the other side, people would associate, like archive or like old school designer fashion to be something that a lot of guys talk about. Or like people who previously used to be like sneakerheads, is like the older designer fashion becomes more and more popular, but now it's like everyone kind of loves it. And but I know it's like a bit of a stereotype from what I imagine. um but yeah, archive PDF, this is an amazing website. um Again, scans, writing, in-depth, like sometimes analysis of like different publications by designers. Some of these pieces of media are just prohibitively expensive or hard to find. So it's kind of amazing that this even exists on here, on the internet, for people to read, for people to enjoy for free. And in terms of fashion, like there's these kinds of like there's these people that they really want to share what's out there, and become like just really passionate, and they love doing interviews, and they love engaging with like other fashion people. But it's important to remember that like there's plenty of people that really want to get into fashion, and they just don't really know where to look. And so it's just beautiful that this kind of thing exists on the internet. um, you know, for those who like have internet access, or want to go to like a library and read this stuff, or learn more about fashion, whether it's like older designers, older collections, or even just to look at like old fashion photography. um, Tons of stuff on here. I mean, I want you to kind of delve through it and to kind of see what's here. But wealth, 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 wealth of information and knowledge, just waiting to be soaked up, like a sponge. Um, Really amazing. I know there's other YouTubers as well, um, like Your Fashion Archive, as well as Contumacy, that have posted mix of well, this guy in particular is like posted music from runway shows, or by a brand called Beauty Beast, as well as like runway shows, older footage, things like that. um so tons of stuff in these links, for people that want to delve a bit deeper, want to learn about kind of older collections, older fashion, stuff that's come before that explains the present. But I would say, like, once you get into the designer stuff, going back to those like I said, the old Japanese vintage stores, and you're like looking at these really old garments that they were probably referencing, such and such designer was probably referencing like from the 50s or whatever. That's like the source, in my opinion. And so it's cool to kind of bounce around between like what came, a couple years back, what's here now, what was like relevant back in the day, like back in the day. So yeah, really cool, really sick. These other ones in particular are for people that like want to get into like sewing more, like you really seriously want to get into it, or pattern making, or even just buying patterns and wanting to sew at home. So it's kind of like a mix. At the fashion YouTube page, but yeah, the sewing and then patterns and pattern makers. Sewing, this could also be for like people just wanting to learn about fashion too. Some of these explain like how a sewing machine works, or what you would need to like sew at home without a sewing machine. There's home sewing machines. There's industrial ones that could run on, you know, the whole day, and they probably sew hundreds of garments, like, a week or whatever. You can get the picture. So yeah, tons of just photos. Like this GIF of how a single stitch, lock stitch machine works. Um, YouTube videos, all kinds of stuff. Um, Basic sewing, and just again, if you want to get into sewing, and then also a little page on sewing supplies. The most notable one I just want to mention really quick is probably Wawak. Pretty good prices for what it is online. Try to find something near you. Try to find like that old box your grandma had or your auntie had or whoever, or it's probably at a thrift store. Try to do all that stuff before go on like OfferUp, do all that stuff before you start looking at sewing supplies online, because some of them are, well, just too overpriced for what it is. So yeah, but these guys do good business. Sometimes if you go to like a Joann's or like a certain craft store, they want an arm and a leg, and you probably even with a coupon. And so Wawak does pretty decent business for what it is. Um, and tons of other stuff here, some stuff even industrial or like other things. Tons of stuff to look at, even just to see. Um, Even if you won't buy it, it's just if you want to think about it later on. Once you're in like schooling or whatever. Um, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it, honestly. Um, there's also patterns and pattern makers, plenty of independent pattern makers. Um, just it's really cool to see all the different styles. Some of them are probably dupes. I might have to like clean that up. But yeah, some people are making like patterns of like kind of really old style clothes, which is really cool if you're like a costume person. If you like um vintage clothes and movies, or just you just really like these old styles. Some people make old school patterns, and there's plenty. You could probably find it like at a thrift store or like an old sewing book, probably recreations. But I remember these people folkwear, um, putting especially what it seems like a lot of love into like recreating these older styles of just like garments. So if you like fashion history, that's not just like the 20th century. This is cool. So, or the 21st century, however you want to put it. Not new stuff. This is cool. Um, yeah, really sick. Tons of stuff I wanted to feature here. Um, but I guess the most important ones would probably be like the Modelist Studio. The folkwear people are really cool because those are like old style garments. Um, Dr. Cause is fucking crazy. Japanese cosplayer pattern maker. I don't know if they do cosplay, but they at least make patterns, and some of them are kind of cosplayish, because they'll be like costumes or accessories, different things. This is the English version of their website. There's plenty of other things that once you kind of get into the website, pattern instructions might be in Japanese, or might be offered in English, but it's translated, so it's not one to one. It might not be, um, but when I tell you, there's a crazy amount of patterns on here, for free. Like this is crazy, and they do use like metric measurements when it comes to seam allowance, and that's just like the excess that you need to make sure that you can sew when it comes up to the size, without explaining too much. um so many patterns are in here, like a military shirt, jacket, free patterns, and plenty that you would have to pay for. But so many patterns for free. If you have a place that prints large black and white on a roll, let's say for example, um, you know, you could stitch together these patterns on like Illustrator or like Adobe Illustrator. Normally they're letter size, but let's say you could stitch together all the pattern pieces, and you could print out like a big pattern for free, and it's if you can find a good place that prints for you. But yeah, and if not, it'll just come out to this like letter size, um, like the size of a piece of paper, um, just in parts, and it's stitched together with like tape, and you overlay it, and usually how those patterns work. Um, another page that's really cool for the pattern stuff is Lacala. This is really sick because plenty of independent pattern makers that need to put food on the table. They need to charge a certain price because there's overhead, and they're not like a big company, and they're just like one or two people, or most of the time, a single person making patterns out of love and then grading them, making them in different sizes. They have to charge what they have to charge. But let's say you're more budget inclined. You can't find something necessarily at like the thrift, where it might be like an old bag full of like a bunch of patterns, paper patterns. But you want to buy a pattern online, and you want it to be pretty inexpensive if it's not something out of the free ones, because maybe you're not really fitting into like the sort of Japanese sizing, which is usually like a size lower. If for some reason none of this works for you, or you don't really like the patterns on here, or just they're not your style, they're not what you're looking for, Lacala, based out of Switzerland, plenty of patterns, really sick. Some of them are completely free, like a men's trousers, something that's like it's really basic, but like it'd be cool to have like pants in your size if when once you start learning how to sew. Um, Pants are like, in my opinion, like the base of an outfit that kind of decide everything, like whether you had a pair of pants or a pair of shorts, or how your bottoms. I feel like dictate what your whole look is going to be, and so having a cool pair of pants, whoever you are, is it's pretty cool, and to say like you made it yourself is really sick. um so yeah, a whole men's section, a lot of women's patterns, a lot of women's patterns. There's even more pages, pants, lingerie, dresses, coats, and a lot of them are really inexpensive. A majority of these patterns are not even like $4, $4, $5. You have to request. It's like 50 cents to add seam allowance, but they have so many different packages that they can send you the pattern in. It could either be like really wide, so like let's say, like I was saying, you can find a place that prints 36 inches or like a certain width on a roll continuously. Usually these are places that print out like blueprint patterns, reprographics. That's what they're called, reprographics places or copy places. It depends. Try to find a place that does good business, and they're willing to communicate how they print it. That way, you can get a good price. You know, because you're not like a big company printing. Just try to get like a really good price. Some people can charge you like a lot just to print. Just large size stuff, which is what you need for a pattern. If you don't want to be stitching everything together and taping, and you spend like sometimes an hour just trying to stitch together like a pattern, depending on how elaborate it is. Um, so yeah, I mean, tons of stuff on here, like just really cool. They have like jackets. Some of them are kind of like Dickies style, like more sporty. Or there's so many different styles on here. And what's really cool is like they have like their standard sizes that you can you could just tick a box, and it'll roughly be like probably like an XL or a double X or something. But you could also put in your own measurements. And I think either way, whether you choose like a standard one or a or one that's kind of based off of your basic waist or your chest measurement, however it comes out, it will take a little bit to receive it. Not too long. I mean, you probably wouldn't wait more than like an hour, or probably less. But you can specifically pick the format that you receive it in, and so they have tons of different formats. Whether you're someone who is more kind of experienced working with digital files, um, or not. It's really up to you to kind of decide here where your needs can be met, pattern wise. So yeah, really really cool, for people that just want to try sewing. They just want to buy a pattern, they want to go print it out, and they want to sew. And these are well made. Good enough for apparel production from what I'm seeing, and the way that they have notches and everything, and but yeah, it's kind of getting really into that. Um, but yeah, really cool website. And I would say, I mean, it probably should have been like one of the first things that I featured on here. Um, but I should have here. Let me just pull it up because I have it should be here. Free sewing. No. Free sewing. Okay, this website. Oh my god, no. That is not it. Free sewing. This, I mean, honestly, it's the best for last, just because of the promise that it has, and the potential that I see in it. I probably want to cut like this and put it in the beginning, just because it's so cool. Um, Free sewing. This is like an open source, meaning like free, and people support it and people contribute to it, and they make sure that it stays alive and that it gets supported. It's a free service where you can, let's say for example, you want to make just like a tank top, or it's kind of this shirt. You can plug in your measurements by making like whatever, making an account. It's completely free, they don't ask you for anything. um Plugging in your measurements and then receiving a pattern that would fit you, and you could add in like excess so that it fits well here and there. But what I really see like, just beauty in it, is the fact that they provide blocks too. So blocks are kind of just like the simple shapes that people can create designs from, for like a dress or like a pant, and they're all kind of different shapes. um, but for example, they have a body block, right, for people with breasts, because you have the sort of bust area and there's curves, and everyone is a different size. Some people can be done really dirty by lazy pattern makers that don't want to make a pattern for a plus size person, or just someone who might be really big or really small, or someone who maybe like their arm is at like their shoulder is not like the same angle, or all kinds of things, because you're trying to fit close to like a body, and so you want to do certain things to like make sure it fits. um Whatever your needs are, you can pretty much meet them here with like taking the time and trying to learn how it works, and then having kind of basic pattern experience. If you want to build from a block, or they have patterns here as well. uh, it's just so cool to see like, even just even right now, it is a lot of kind of basic garments, besides from like like the coat and stuff like that. But really cool that someone's able to come to this website either as like a student and make a block in their size, or someone who's just like wants to make clothes as like a hobby, um and they want to like start learning how to make pants for themselves, or like a skirt for a friend or whatever. So it's really cool. And stuff for men's, women's, people who don't conform to any of that. um and yeah, honestly, really sick. um Really 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 sick. So cool, so cool. um yeah, honestly, like so much swag in this, that it's completely free and just available for people. um Amazing, yeah. But yeah, I mean, honestly, that was it. Like, there's so much more that I could talk about. I'd probably want like the brands thing to be like a whole video. That would be really sick. But I feel like this video is probably long enough. Um, and yeah. Oh, one last. Okay, so Firme Atelier, shout out Eric. Really sick videos on Instagram right now. Um, I want long form content on YouTube. I'm hoping and praying, but I see them probably not doing that. It's cool. Like a man could dream. Um, they drop gems on people in terms of pattern making and just really cool advice. Some for sewing or making patterns or just kind of just elite knowledge. They have so much experience and just really cool guys. Um, Plenty of other things I could have touched on. But yeah, I feel like this video is plenty long enough. There's a whole separate page on top of that for vegetable dye if you want to like do little projects at home and you're like a very natchy organic type of person. Cool like examples of like organic dyeing, and this is like stuff that you can just do at home even if you don't want to sew or make a bunch of things. Maybe you just want to make like your shirt or your dress a different color. You know, it's kind of cool. It's like a this is like just a cool little DIY do yourself try it out type of thing, like a 5 minute craft, but that shit will not take 5 minutes. Um, yeah, really cool, really cool, really cool. Um, I hope you enjoy. Please enjoy. Let me know what you think. Um, dig deep into it. There's layers to it. I really try to add in like a lot. So for people that want to go down like a rabbit hole, depending on what you're a student or you want to learn or however you want to do it, um, let me know what you think. Love, love. So love, 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 love.